episode 7, M5 Performance Diaries, titled The Business of Going Fast, which is kind of ironic because right at the very moment, I'm not going very fast at all. In fact, I'm going pretty slow. Just to give you an update on my injuries. It's not too bad. I've got pretty good range. I guess a couple of broken ribs, scapula, a little bit of movement. I can get my arm up there, which is kind of good. I can ride a time trial bike. I can't run because the bouncing of the run hurts the ribs. I'm getting a good night's sleep, which is good because I can get on both sides of my body, and I reckon I'm not too far away from the water. But the bottom line is Ironman is out, absolutely. So I guess all it is for me is potentially the 70.3 at Port Macquarie, which is 8 weeks away. It'll end up being a B race, a C race, but I just want to hang out with my mates, the gang at M5 Triathlon. And we've got a few pros there as well, so it'd be kind of a great event to hang out at. Then I've got to work out which event I'm going to do my Ironman at. 20th Ironman, still want to do a PB. The options I've got are Port Macquarie, go back to New Zealand, or off to Busselton. Busselton seems a long way away, but I haven't done it for a while. I guess I've got more of a chance of picking up a PB at Busselton than I am going back to New Zealand or Cairns. So I reckon it could be Busselton, the 20th. So body's healing. Looking forward to just get back to some training again. So there we go. Now, within the Performance Diaries, been a big week. I've had a chance to catch up with the great man, Henk Vogels, who is heading up Factor these days in Australia. Henk has had a stellar cycling career, and we're going to talk about his transition from being a professional cyclist over to being on the other side of the desk, which is now working with one of the most progressive cycling brands in the world, Factor, and how he's enjoying that and how he's utilising assets, marketing assets and ambassadors to build a much bigger triathlon segments for Factor. And we're also catching up with John O. Summit and Nick Thompson, co-founders of the Ogging training group. You'd be living under a rock if you don't know who Ogging are. So we're going to talk about how they're going. They've got some big plans in relation to their brand and potentially commercialising that. And it would be remiss of me not to be asking Tomo how he's enjoyed hanging out with Sam Laidlow and now Jamie Riddle, and how it's looking for him going into the 70.3 World Champs in Nice and then on to Kona. Henk Vogels has lived cycling from almost every angle. First as one of Australia's leading professional riders, a dual Olympian, an Australian road race champion, Tour de France stage podium finisher and a proven classic rider, which included a top 10 finish in the Paris-Roubaix. But Henk's story didn't stop when the racing ended. He moved into commentary work with SBS, athlete development and team leadership through the Australian Cycling Academy, before taking his experience into the commercial side of the sport. Today, Henk is National Sales Manager for Factor Bikes, helping them lead the brand's Australian operation. It's a role that brings together elite racing knowledge, strong industry relationships, and a genuine understanding of what riders expect from a performance bike. In this episode, we explore that transition and the strategy and the people and the ambition behind Factor's next chapter in Australia. Well, Henk, that was your introduction, mate. So thank you for joining us on M5 Performance Diaries. Now, mate, as we've just seen, you are a bit of a legend in Australian cycling, and I must say global cycling. And I think the first time I met you, and you probably don't remember this, but mate, it was at Busselton in 2006, I think it might have been.
It was.
And we had that was our first IMG. I was working for back in the IMG days, and we'd started Busselton, as we know, and we put a relay together, a superstar relay, and that relay was Kai
Hurst. Myself on the bike.
Your good self on a road bike.
Yep.
And John McLean.
and John McLean, who was obviously a legendary wheelchair athlete. And we broke the world record in my first triathlon, mate. Actually, it wasn't my first triathlon because I'd done the Noosa triathlon a number of times within the teams event. But that for me was like an amazing experience, Phil. I mean, we had Kai Hurst. I think he gave us a 7 minute lead out the swim.
Yes.
He looked like I sat there and watched it, and it looked like there was a windmill in the water, and he was just chopping all the way around the jetty.
Yes.
Seriously, there was like 5 or 6 swimming pool lengths in front of everyone, and he ran out, and I jumped on my Ridley road bike with training wheels with a pair of clip-ons, and I had this big beef with who was the gun triathlete that actually did really well? He may have actually Mitch Anderson. Mitch
Oh, Nick
Anderson.
Thompson. Well, he won that year, I think, mate.
Yeah, yeah. So I was literally hanging shit on him at the press conference saying I was going to roll him on my road bike. So I think he got a few more hours sleep that night than I did. And I think I did a 4:25 on a road bike with no disc or anything carbon. I had just had a pair of clip-ons and it nearly killed me. I couldn't walk after doing the 180K. And then obviously, John McLean did his thing, and it was all for charity. And met Pete Jacobs there for the first time, so it was a great atmosphere at Busso. It was unreal, mate.
Yeah,
So
mate. And
that
well,
was my
back in the day,
introduction to
Busto.
Ironman. That was my actual introduction to Ironman triathlon. And I'll tell you the best thing. It wasn't that experience. It was going back down when the last people were finishing in the last hour and a half, where all the pros go back down. And that was a super cool thing for me in triathlon. My introduction essentially.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
It was cool. It was cool. Now, mate, you've as you've seen, it's written the highlights. Your professional career has been absolute stellar. Do you? How was the adjustment, mate? Because over the last, since I've known you, you've been on the business side, so you've sat on the other
mhm,
side of the desk. Now we know how difficult it is for athletes. We've seen it all the time. This transitional piece is very difficult. It's getting better, and this isn't just in cycling; it's across all sports. The transition from a professional athlete, whether it's in a high performance bubble, whatever kind of high performance bubble it is, into life after sport, where you've got to live another 50, 60 years
mm.
differently. How have you found that? You've shaped yourself very well, but what was that journey like? Oh, if you hear me say the word journey again, Hank, you can hit me over the head.
Oh, no, no, no. And it is. It really is. And it is so difficult for an athlete who is at the top of their game, who is used to being incredibly fit, admired, and looked up to have this amazing life where you just get out and ride your bike around the world's countryside and get paid to do it, and you're at the absolute pinnacle of the sport. And then all of a sudden, one day, everything switches off and you have to come back down to reality. It's essentially like falling off a cliff. And I'm sure there's a lot of athletes out there who know exactly what I'm talking about. So the readjustment for me was a bit of a soft landing because I literally got off the bike and into a team car for a decade. So I went and used my brain experience and, the 20 years of racing professional, Com Games, Worlds, Olympics, Tour de France, straight into an Australian based kind of national road series team that race internationally. So for me, that was a bit of a softer landing. But after that kind of went away, yeah, that's kind of when reality does really hit that, obviously you have another 35 years of working essentially. Maybe not that long, but yeah, I think for me, it took me a long time to work out, but you just got to stick to what you know and what you're good at and what your strengths were. But certainly not easy. And you do need to lean on people in the industry and who have been in your corner before. And I'm sure that, if you can network in and around the sport in the industry that you're in, no matter what that sport is, television for me, I did a lot of SBS stuff, a lot of director sportive stuff, and was also in the retail side of cycling and bikes. So, I kind of picked and chose between those three kind of things after, doing 35,000 Ks a year, I was into the other side. So essentially it's jumping over the fence, Phil. So, you get to see all sides of the sport in different ways because you do know your sport very well as a professional. I mean, whether you're a professional swimmer, cyclist, runner, biathlon, winter Olympian, you know your sport really well. So, for a lot of athletes, they stay involved in the sport, and that's what I did and have been doing for the last, oh, Jesus, I stopped in 2008, so we're 2026. So, nearly 20 years.
And mate, you found yourself a factor.
Yes. Funny story, that one, actually, because I manage the ARA Skip Capital professional cycling team up here on the Sunshine Coast, which has had some great athletes and great young cyclists up and coming, some of which went on to World Tour outfits. But our bike sponsor was Factor Bikes, and that was already back 5 years ago. So I knew the bikes very, very well, and it was kind of very strange because the owner of the company actually reached out directly to me on LinkedIn and was like, "Hey, what are your thoughts about running a bike company in Australia?" And I didn't know how to do that, but I said yes immediately. And it's turned out to be a bit of a masterstroke because I did know what I was doing. And, when you know professional athletes, there's some respect there. And obviously did some retail and I know the bikes intimately. So it's been a really good last 2 years with Factor Bikes, which, are an incredible brand. And I wouldn't say they sell themselves, but when you've got a quality product, it makes it a lot easier. So, it's right up my alley, Phil.
Yeah, and so can you describe your sort of a typical day for you, Hank? What does it look like? You get up in the morning, what are you doing?
Generally first go for a ride.
Okay.
In the middle of winter, that's generally with lights on. I try and ride 4 days a week as a minimum just to keep fit. I blew out massively as a lot of athletes do. And happens after you're incredibly fit and on a knife's edge of being sick all the time. So I try and ride 4 days a week. If I don't, I've just got a dog actually, so I'm doing about 6K with him, 3 in the morning, 3 in the afternoon. So I'm punching out some calories at the moment.
Right.
And then it's really managing about 65 accounts Australia-wide.
Yeah.
And 2 of us pretty much do everything. I got another guy in Melbourne, Miguel, who I work with, and we pretty much field all the inquiries, and we are actively going to events, starting this year, Perth National Championships, Road National Championships in Perth, TDU, and I've been going to some gravel events. We sponsored the Pro Velo Super League, which Matt Wilson and Ben Kirsten started a few years ago.
Yep.
Aaron Flanagan. So those guys, we were the bike sponsor for them. So it's really getting the brand out there and being involved with events as well. But, when you have some incredible aero, time trial, road and track bikes, the brand is doing really well. So for me, the day is phoning, emailing and planning my next trip to see dealers or wherever the next event is. So really, there's not really enough hours in the day. And when you've got the US office and the Taiwanese office and the Europe office all wanting a piece of you, generally I have to turn my phone off around 6:30. Otherwise, it will not stop.
Yeah.
But I'm a bit of a hunter, and I chase sales and make sure we're taking care of our professional athletes who I'm in charge of down here in Australia in the different disciplines that we've got. So, it's multifaceted, Phil. It's sales, really, but in sales, you have to do a lot of events and kind of try and shy away from, the expos and things like that. And I'd much rather get to the nitty gritty because we're a racing company. So our bikes are cutting edge.
Yeah.
So we try and get involved with professional athletes as much as possible, more so over, Instagrammers or social media personalities. For us, it's important, and that's how our brand kind of operates.
Yeah, okay. Well, we're going to visit the triathlon stuff in a second, but I mean, obviously, your Factor's reputation on the track is brilliant. And so tell us a bit about the road stuff, mate. Who are the teams, and what does that look like at the moment?
Yeah, so we had been sponsoring the Israel Premier Tech team for the last 4 or 5 years. And without going into too much detail, obviously that wasn't viable anymore just around what was happening geographically and politically around the world. It was quite polarizing, and I do believe we stepped away from that at the right time. But having said that, Chris Froome was part of the team and was really very successful. Factor also sponsor an African team, Amani. So grassroots in Africa. We are currently sponsoring the Modern Adventure US cycling team, headed up by George Hincapie.
Yeah.
And they've just been outstanding. Like, they're essentially doing a world tour program without Grand Tours.
Yeah.
So they've been brilliant, and they kind of launched the one for us in the Pro Tour and World Tour events that they've been invited to. And then also we have the high human powered health women's cycling team that just finished the Tour de France Femmes. So that's some of our sponsors. We probably have 6 or 7 other teams all based. We did sponsor the ARA Pro Cycling team for 5 years. We have some French teams. We also have athletes in multidiscipline. And like you said before, Phil, it's the Factor Hanzo track bike, which broke the world record at the last Olympic Games, which the Aussies won on. So that was super cool. So yeah, we kind of like to keep our toes in all the different markets. But as a racing company, we like to be in touch with that. But little disappointing we don't have a world tour team this year, just with the one coming out and how incredibly fast it was. I think that would have been fantastic to have that in the tour, but you can't have that all your own way because all those bike sponsors are all locked in multi-year deals.
Yeah.
It's very expensive, I mean, without giving too much away, those kind of sponsorships start at €4 million a year and go over 10 to 15 million euros a year. So, I mean, when you put that in Australian dollars, you could run a football team.
Yeah.
Australian rules football team off just the bike sponsorship money.
100% you can. You betcha.
So, yeah, it's pretty big dollars. And I believe that, we really went into our marketing this year for the one, which I'm sure a lot of your listeners would have seen up on social media with some of the latest models that we've come out over the last 12 months.
Yeah. Okay, mate. Let's get into the meat and bones, which is triathlon. And I'm just laughing because I remember what a pest I was. I mean, let's start with Nick. So, I think I don't know, it would have been 12 months ago or something like that. I think I might have started positioning Nick to you. I think I might have sent a result from the Grafton Winverell, not this year but last year, about the sort of stuff that he was doing. And I think I might have just sort of said, look, you got to keep an eye on this guy and blah blah blah. At that stage, Nick was he was on another bike, but there was it wasn't a pure ambassador role for him, and given what he was doing, we just felt that he just needed to have a big bike brand that could see the value that he could work with over a long period of time, and I just kept on gravitating towards Factor because I knew you, but I also just I knew that at that stage Factor, I think you had one athlete, and there just seemed to be room for more. And we got talking, and there was some innovation coming out of Factor at that stage. I mean, you had the Slick, which is a great bike, and you had the Hanso, which is a great bike. So we sort of started from there. But it took a little bit of convincing, Hank. So why was that?
Well, firstly, I'd only just stepped into the role. So for me, I was just kind of feeling out how the company worked and where we were going with triathlon. Because I do believe that probably Factor haven't spent enough time on this enormous market that is triathlon. But I do remember you sending me a message saying, did you see Nick at the Pro Velo Super League in South Bank? He was up the road, and you had like 6 or 7 of the strongest guys in Australia who are professionals. And there's this young bloke with a mo, meaning half mullet, boxing on with those guys, not an issue, not even like smiling. And I'm like, who the hell is this guy? And I put 2 and 2 together after we had had a couple of conversations, and then you started sending me some numbers, and then, I just went hammer and tongs with our global marketing manager, David Miller. So we hadn't had a bad experience with triathlon or triathletes. So we had Rudy von Berg as an exceptional athlete, and I think he had some great results, the top 5 in the
Oh
world
yeah,
over the
100%.
2024 season. So Rudy, I think, was a great ambassador for us in that respect. But yeah, I mean, this is my turf here in Australia, and I wanted to have some good Australian triathletes. So, after a couple of conversations with you, I really think it was a no-brainer. And we want to grow with Nick, and I know for a fact after long conversations with not just you, Phil, that I think this is a long-term deal, because I don't reckon he's scratched the surface yet of what he can do. I don't think he's actually lived long enough as a pro triathlete. He hasn't been in the sport that long. So the scope and the improvement that he can have is quite extraordinary, actually. So, and there's some cool stuff coming this year, which I think your audience is going to be pretty excited to start wondering about. But Nick's numbers are extraordinary, and we're excited to have him. He's a larrikin. He's exactly like me. He's a bit of a different bloke. Love his social media stuff and what he does with his running group over there in West Australia. It's a huge market for us. But Nick's your excellent role model for that guy to be who you are, and lip service with him. Nick Thompson is who Nick Thompson is. So
Yeah,
different cat.
yeah, and you make a terrific point. And I'm going to use the word authenticity, which everybody uses these days, but it's very true, isn't it? You do want someone that has the cut through, and we talk about cut through, and we're talking about ambassadors working with brands. You need someone that the brand feels comfortable with, that can get through to the consumer, and your consumer is people wanting to buy your bikes. It's as simple as that, and they want to feel comfortable on it. But they want to be inspired by people who are also riding it.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
Nick led the way, which was terrific. And then we brought on 2 other athletes, which was terrific. We got and both these guys have just been. I mean, they are just so proud to be representing Factor. It's extraordinary. But you got Jackson Siski, and you got Jared Osborne, and they just love the brand, mate. They're just so excited, and to be embraced by Factor also globally is something that they're incredibly excited about.
Yeah, I mean, they've had great results this year too, right?
Yeah,
Like
no,
they're not they're
they
not
have,
just
and I
they're
guess
not just long-term projects. Like they've
yeah,
actually got some good results this year, and there's no expectations around these guys for us. You know, for us, it was about growing with someone to make a journey, and I've just said your word there, Phil, journey.
yeah,
But it's not necessarily about getting the world number one and paying him $1 zillion and hey, look at this guy. No, it's those guys weren't in the top 25 in the world, but we had faith in them. And, for me, it's important as a national sales manager that we have some guys that we can grow with and create some good relationships with, and are good ambassadors for the brand, because, they love the bikes. And like you said, you can't fake it. If you like the bike, you can't fake it. There's so many, if you're getting results, you're out doing what you normally would do, and you're genuinely excited. People that feel that as well.
And Hank, do you use these guys from a product development point of view? We know that one of the great things about when you bring an ambassador on, and a lot of people don't realise, it's not always just about what their social media profile looks like and how they communicate to that social media platform, or about results. Often it's about product development as well.
Mm.
Is there any examples that you can offer that where you got Jack and Jared and Nick that are providing feedback back to you in relation to the Hanzo and the Slick, and what that might look like to make it faster?
Yeah, of course, they all do. And every athlete, um, and I chat with those guys a lot, with actually Jack, because he's up my way and he's been fantastic up here in Queensland where I'm based, or head office is based. But we always talking about the front end, and maybe getting different custom handlebar. So, and that is the case with a lot of triathletes that won't always use exactly what's provided when a bike comes. They always like to put their own stamp on it, so they will all do that, and it's kind of nice to get that feedback. And we've actually improved some of the front end pieces on our Factor bikes. We've just come out with a new handlebar, tri-bar. There's a couple of new bikes in the works, which can't really speak about, but we will talk a little bit about that in the future. But yeah, I mean, I don't have a great deal to do with the R&D. The genius behind these bikes is Graham Shrive, and he is the man that designed the S5 Cervelo and then the Factor 1, the Ostro, the Slick and the Hanzo track. So he's the genius behind the design and the aerodynamic benefits of the Factor, which currently right now is the fastest aero road track bike in the world. So those two, is not to be trifled with when you've got independent testing. This isn't just done on, one or two people. There are lots of studies out there to show that the one is the fastest road bike and then the Hanzo track is the fastest track bike. It's actually 3 seconds faster over 3 kilometre on the track. So imagine what that is over 180k when you're doing an Ironman. So yeah, those things are really cool little things to add into it. But like all the professional athletes, they don't call them professionals for nothing. They spend a lot of time and they're actually quite intelligent, with feedback. And I can't think of anything like specific, but a lot of talk about the front end and how it feels. And, you get that feedback, and I do speak to Graham, the engineer, so I do pass these comments back on to him as well.
And mate, we've got three of our. So you've got all the Factor athletes are all about to go into World Championships. So you got Nick that's doing both. He's going to Nice, which is all hills, different terrain, and then he goes to Kona. We know what that's like. And then you got Jared Osborne. He's going up hills at Nice. And then you got Jack also then heading to Kona as well.
So all three of them are doing both, correct?
Yeah. Yes. So you've got two doing both. So sorry. Let me start again. You got Nick doing both, and then you've got Jared racing Nice, World 70.3 champs at Nice, and you got Jack racing Ironman World Championships at Kona. But if we talk about Nick for a second, he's 4 weeks away or 3 weeks away now from the Ironman, the 70.3 World Championships at Nice. Very, very hilly terrain. What are we expecting?
Well, he's an absolute freak of an athlete. I mean, I don't know how long ago he broke his collarbone, but there were reports around after some discussions that, like, literally after 1 week he was back into full training, which just blows my mind.
Yeah.
He's spent the whole year on the slick.
Yep.
He won Cairns on the slick, and I think he was, I don't know what the actual, you probably have these numbers in front of you, Phil, but I think he was 10 minutes quicker than everyone else. Am I mistaken? He put 12 minutes into him in the ride.
Yeah.
Yes, I know that's one of his strengths. Obviously, he can run as well. That kid can run as well. But like, that's our specific triathlon bike, the slick. And I actually spoke to Graham Shrive, and he said, mate, that is not a slow bike. So, and it probably will be a great bike for Kona for him. But having said that, Nick will not be riding a slick or a Hanzo.
Oh, right.
In Nice. So he's going to be riding something which is going to be coming out very soon. It's a little bit under wraps. It's actually faster than the slick and the Hanzo. But I can't talk too much about it. All I can tell you, Phil, is that this bike is going to be extraordinary. Nick has sent me some personal messages around this last week about what his thoughts are on this new machine. Right. And he said that the two words were mega fast were his comments. So he's a man of not many words, Nick.
That's what we like about him.
But it was good feedback on there. So we're very much looking forward to seeing what he can do, because he had a good ride there last year, and I think with this upgrade from what he was on last year, which I'm sure wasn't a slow bike, but I think what he's going to be riding this year is going to be pretty extraordinary. So look out. It's going to
Okay.
be cool. I can't really talk
I
too
won't,
much about
I
the
won't
new
push you
bike,
any
but
more on that, but we're a couple of weeks away, are we, from all being revealed?
yeah, I think launch date for that, what he's riding is mid-September. So
Okay.
about 4 weeks away, but yeah, you might see some sneaky images there.
Rightio.
But anyway, that'll we're all looking forward to seeing how it goes because I know he's at altitude now, I believe.
Mate, it's very
So,
exciting. It's very exciting. Mate, look, I think that's about it. What about, is it, and they're all riding black ink, aren't they? How does that work with
yeah, so back to bikes own black ink components. So like the Australians who rode the Team Pursuit rode black ink discs. So
right?
the Factor ones, the Ostros, the Monzas, the Slick, the Hanzo are all decked out in black ink disc tri-spoke deep dish 45, 52, 60, 64 grabber wheels. We make the integrated handlebars and seat posts, and they're all mega aero, mega light. So, Factor owns that company, so it works really well. So that's so they'll all be riding a combination of whatever it is. I'm not sure what Nick's riding, whether he rides a tri-spoke or a deep dish front and a rear disc, or could be riding two deep dish wheels or front tri-spoke. I'm not sure, but yeah, that's part of our company. But also, like, I think the other guys, like Jack, will probably stay on the Slick this year, and I think Jared will probably stay on a Hanzo, and then we have Nick on this new machine. So it's different horses for courses with these bikes. So these guys all find advantages in different strengths. So for me, the best time trial bike is the Slick, and you can back that up by saying what Nick did in Cairns, but it's the time trial bike. The Hanzo is pure speed, the Slick is speed plus a lot of comfort and adjustability, and the new bike will be a mixture of both with a bit more speed.
Yeah,
So
no,
yeah,
it's
super cool.
it's very exciting, mate. All
Yeah.
right, so Hank, thank you, mate. Thanks for taking the time. Anything else coming up at your end, mate? How long are we gonna see you at anything new coming out of Factor other than the fact that this mystery new bike? What else is going on, mate?
It's kind of crazy how quickly this company is bringing out new products. Like Jack Szynski just got a pair of Hyper 62 wheels, which from Black Ink.
Yeah,
They're essentially lightweights. So Black Ink do set of like lightweight race wheels, which he's going to race on, I believe, in his next race. About 3.5 grand cheaper than what lightweights are. So,
right.
he's gone for lightweight, slick, comfortable, incredibly fast. So, that's just one product. We came out with a SpongeBob one at the Women's Tour de
I saw
France.
that. I
You know,
saw
we just come out with this unbelievable gravel bike, the Serrano, and we have a new one coming in September, which is going to blow everyone's mind as well. So a couple of the pros are already riding it. Roman Bardet is one of our gravel athletes. He's just crashed and was supposed to do Worlds, but that's next on the agenda for me, Gravel World Championships in Nannup, WA. So we're going to launch a new bike there. So that's pretty cool. And yeah, there's a couple of new bikes on the horizon, but that's 2027. That's also something I can't talk about. But yeah, it's never a dull moment at the HQ here, I can tell you right now, Phil.
All right. Hey, Hank, thanks for having, mate. That's been terrific. Thanks for
No,
taking the time, mate. We'll
always a pleasure, Phil. I mean, we talk a lot and we talk about these athletes, and I know you're on one of our bikes as well. So yeah,
well, I
we'll have
was,
to
mate,
catch up for a ride soon, buddy.
till I came off it about 3 weeks ago.
Oh no, oh
Oh, you knew
no.
this, didn't you?
Oh, that's right. I think I did.
Two broken ribs, broken scapula.
No, you didn't tell me this. Oh my God, this is breaking news.
This is breaking news, mate. But here's the thing: it's all good. It's come back
Is the
from
bike okay though, Phil?
the first thing they ask is the bike okay? The bike's not broken. The rider is, but that's
Oh
okay.
mate.
Ogging isn't simply a training squad, it's a community, a culture and one of the most progressive forces in multisport, both here in Australia and increasingly on the world stage. And at its heart are two very different but closely connected journeys. Back home, Johnny Summit. He's the custodian of Ogging, protecting what makes it so special while paving the way for what it could become. Today we explore whether the hard-earned identity can develop into a sustainable commercial brand without losing its authenticity, relationships, and the value that's been created. And then there's Ogging's co-founder, Nick Thompson. Nick is currently in Europe preparing to test himself against the best in the world, including the World 70.3 Championships in Nice and then on to Kona. But racing at that level brings a demand that extends far beyond training and performance. Nick is supported by a significant family of sponsors, each invested in his journey and carrying their own expectations. So how does he manage those relationships, remain true to himself, and still find the freedom to perform? This conversation is about ambition, responsibility, and evolution. Two founders, two best mates, two very different roles, one shared vision. What is Ogging today? What could it become tomorrow? And how far are Jono and Nick prepared to take it? Well, let's find out. Let's welcome the boys. So the boys are here. It's a great, I hope you like the intro. You probably haven't seen it yet, but there's been an intro and all about Ogging, and Johnny, you, and Nick, you. And look, I've actually got my Ogging jersey on, which I really, really like. It's a bit stained. But thanks for joining us, lads. And Nick, I know I don't know, what time is it for you at the moment?
Early, 11:20.
Early? Okay, Not too bad. And Johnny, you got Perth time, mate, so it's dinner time for you, isn't it?
Yeah, bit of a late night for me. I'll probably be off to bed in a little bit, 6 p.m. Got training in the morning.
All right, well listen, I want to chat about Ogging, and there'll be a few other bits and pieces, but predominantly I want to talk about this wonderful community that you guys have both created, and how you created it, and where it started from, and all that sort of stuff. So Johnny, should I start with you, mate? Can you give us a bit of an idea of the genesis of Ogging and how you got the name and where it came about?
So it was a few years ago. It was back in sort of 2020 around COVID, and it was that lockdown period. So we weren't really seeing any of our friends, and typically we'd all hang out and do stuff together. But I think they had this rule where you could do physical activity with one other person or something like that, and we sort of just twisted the rules a little bit and joined up as a crew, a couple times a week just to go for a run, and it was sort of like that sense of camaraderie that we got out training, and we kind of just coined the term Ogging and Ogging Squad just because of the group of mates, and it was probably, I think it was Nick that created the Instagram account, and we just like to take the mickey out of the way that sort of people approach triathlon. I think at the time it was very, disciplined and monotonous in some ways, and so we just tried to have a bit of fun with it. And I think that was where the sort of philosophy came from, where you took the work seriously but not yourself, and so that was when Ogging was sort of born, and we've just been slowly just chipping away and just doing what we enjoy doing, which is, training, having fun with our mates, and, racing hard when the work needs to be done. So I think that's grown into something really cool with the coaching group, and it's obviously something that's resonated with a lot of athletes as well. So we've got plenty of guys on the team now, and yeah, it's just all a bit of fun. And obviously with Nick racing, at the top level, it's put us on the world stage in some ways. So it's pretty cool to see.
Well, we've seen the impact of when Nick does race on the chat feeds that come through. There's plenty of times that Nick's actually not even racing, and we're seeing chat about about, and I'm sure that's coming from the Ogging group. Where does it run out of? I mean, whenever I'm looking at it, you always seem to be running out of a track somewhere. So where's that?
Yeah, so it was last year in March that we had Luke. He's a competitive runner, professional runner. He sort of coined the idea when I was in hospital. He was like, let's create a physical run group. And at the time it was sort of very unknown at the numbers that we'd start pulling down to the track. And I think the first week we had like 4 or 5 athletes, and then eventually, just as the weeks sort of went on, it started to grow. And now that we're sort of a bit more established, we get like 70 to 80 people come down and run with us on a Thursday night. So it's definitely snowballed into something really cool. And it's also like cool in the sense that it's a physical embodiment of the Ogging squad, and you can sense it in the atmosphere, and everyone's sort of running, and they're taking their running seriously, but obviously between reps and stuff they're having a bit of fun. So it's pretty cool.
How many coaches do you have now?
So we've got 15 coaches.
Okay.
We added Sam Arsky-Doran this year, which was obviously a big name to bring to the squad with his Kona swim record. So we've obviously got like a really, really strong coaching team, and I think like ever since the inception of the coaching group, the idea was to always have people who have either competed in the past or they're very experienced coaches. So we've pulled together a really experienced group.
And if I can just jump in here as well, it's just really interesting to see how it went from, I guess the Ogging squad was literally just me, Johnny, Reese, our friend Leighton, Richard, maybe like 5 to 10 guys in Perth, but then how it's transitioned to not something entirely different, but it's almost unrecognizable. But it's gone from like a small group of friends to connecting all these coaches across the country and bringing value to a lot more people. So it's definitely different. I think we had a lot of fun when it was just us and we were training together. You can sort of see that shift after Johnny's accident, that he sort of took it in a direction where he could bring the value to a wider group of people, which is really nice.
And how do you find that? Because once you start dealing with more people, you've got to accept that you're going to lose a bit of control over what your culture might look like, and everyone gets pushing in the same direction, and behaviour and things like that. Is there some type of onboarding program, or is it people just accept this is how it works? And is there a self-filtering program where someone might turn up, and if they don't fit, they sort of just know? Does it work that way?
Yeah, basically, I think like the content that we put out is sort of suits a very specific type of person, and I think in that sense it's a really good thing, because before they've even sent us a message or come to a session, they already know the vibe and the type of people that would be turning up on the day. So I don't think culture's been a really hard thing, because it always travels from the top down, and if Nick and I and a few of the others are all acting in a certain way or playing around in a certain way, I think that the culture sort of travels down.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree. Okay. I agree.
All right. Now, gents, because of the growth of Ogging, and Johnny, you and I have spoken about this, is that they're starting to potentially become commercial opportunities, brands wanting to be associated with a running community, and we all know how running's just going absolute nuts at the moment. I think one of the biggest pushes in any sport in relation to participation is women 18 to 24 running. It's just incredible, and brands want to be in that. They want to be in that space. and you can deliver that very, very well. Have you thought about how you may be able to commercialise the program in a way that helps bring funds into the group, and have you given that some thought? And what does that, if so, what does that look like for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's really only been in the last sort of 6 months that I've started to realise the commercial value in, you know, having access to a big community, and like in some ways like a patriotic community, in the sense that like, you know, they'll all sort of wear the same stuff, or, you know, everyone wants the same shoes, and, you know, there's a sort of sense of identity that comes with it. So yeah, it's probably not something that I thought was possible, but now since seeing the group grow into what it is now, you can definitely see there's a commercial play for a lot of businesses that want access to a community, and it's not just sort of any community. It's, you know, a community where you've got elite athletes all the way down to grassroots sort of athletes and juniors. So it's a pretty cool place to be, and like, I'm pretty keen to explore the opportunities that you know would lie ahead. And obviously, like, at the end of the day, it all comes down to creating more value for the athlete, and if that means that you know, that they're running around in the best kit, then I think that's the best possible outcome. And if brands can also benefit from it, I think it's a good mutually valuable sort of relationship.
Yeah.
Nick?
And if I might add, like, we both came into this sport, or created this group. We didn't come in as like full-blown influencers wanting to commercialize it immediately. We came in as athletes and then transitioned to coaches. So like what Johnny said, we've got this community and this account just sitting there that we didn't know was anything more than just, you know, a fun account, but you know, it has some value. But even like what Johnny just touched on, he doesn't want to go full, like, take every deal that's sort of given to him and forget what it means to, I don't know, forget our roots. He wants to only sort of go down the pathway where a partnership can help the athletes first and foremost, and not dilute
Nick,
the value.
And that's pretty typical of the way you work too, Nick. I mean, we've talked about that. You really like to align yourself with brands that you're really comfortable with and you can work with, and it's very natural for you. Johnny, you talked before about when sponsors look at assets, you know, and if they're particularly looking at, you know, an athlete, they go, gee whiz, what I want an elite athlete that can deliver me into a grassroots community, delivers me into a high performance community, a grassroots community, all the way down to junior development, which is effectively grassroots. So I'm repeating myself, but so you've had, and it's not easy to find that. You can get that when you go to a federation. So if you went to somewhere like Athletics New South Wales or Athletics WA, you know, you can sponsor the association, and at the elite end you can get an athlete, and then you can get all the pathways that go through it. But you're creating that platform in one individual group, which is really good, and it's nimble. You're dealing with one person, and for an athlete and for a brand to come and do a come and try day, you know, if Hoka want to lob up to one of your training sessions and throw as many shoes as they can, well, then they can do that. And that's a real benefit for them. So yeah, mate, it's terrific. So what's next with Ogging? Are we global? Are we taking over the world?
Yeah, I mean, Nick's taking it across the world. I think he's flying the flag wherever he goes. But like, I think with Ogging, the goal was never to like grow it so large that we lose, you know, the concept of it. And I think I just like the idea of just, you know, naturally and organically growing it as the sport sort of grows. And yeah, if it's global, then that's awesome to see it travel so far. But yeah, honestly, I'm not really sure where it's headed at this stage. But like, if we have thousands and thousands of oggers sort of around the world, then that would be pretty awesome.
I reckon that's going to happen.
Yeah,
I do. My sense is that is going to happen. Terrific. I mean, that's you created such a wonderful platform. Your program's terrific. Everyone sees it. There's guys. There's guys kicking around. I saw Jack Jasinski the other day was on a podcast, and he had his Ogging jumper on. I just think it's great that people just love what you're doing, and they all want to be part of it in their own way. You've got to keep the merchandise going, boys, because people love it.
Yeah, well, I think we're trying to work on the merch. I think that's probably the easiest way to access, I guess, the Ogging sort of identity really is to rep the merch. So
yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Now, can I just shift a little bit away from that, and without getting too serious on you, Johnny, we often when we're seeing you and the ongoing patterns of your journey around your accident in your leg and where you currently are, and the support around you goes without saying what that's like. But I just wanted to take perhaps a different tact here, and that is that knowing how I know you is that you're looking forward in relation to what life might look like from an athlete point of view and a high performance point of view when you know more. And have you spent time thinking about that at all, Johnny? And if so, what does that look like for you?
Yeah, I think the seed was planted when I was in hospital, and Phil, you sent me a book with a contract as well, which was like a future management contract, and I think that at the time, and you might not have known it, but it was a big thing for me at the time because I was obviously felt like I was just getting started in triathlon, and I wasn't at the point of having a manager or anything like that, but it was a really nice sentiment, so I got to thank you for that. But
still stands, mate. Still stands. We'll just move triathlete out and put something else in.
Yeah, exactly.
Or we leave triathlon in. I don't know. Yeah. It's your call.
That's the thing. I don't know where it's headed. I've obviously already had conversations with like the para rowing team here in Australia, and there's potential for me to jump in a boat for LA if I can get ready and fit enough before then. But it just depends on the timeline with this leg, and obviously like the sooner I get the external fixator or the metal thing on my leg off, then I can actually get into a boat and I can actually start working towards something. But like I'm always going to keep fit all year round really. If anyone knows me well enough, they'd know that I really enjoy pushing myself and exercising, so I'm never too far away from being race fit in some ways. So yeah, I think the potential to go into para sports would be pretty big for me. I've always been a racer and I've always been an athlete, and so I don't think anything that's happened's really changed that. And if I can join Nick on a ride one day, that'd be nice too.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey Nick, if I can just switch to you for a sec, and again I don't want to get down too into the weeds in this, but your last 12 months or last 18 months has been pretty incredible. Your performance as an athlete has I guess just lit up, and we find you now, people talking to you about being a potential for a Kona podium and stuff like that. And I know this all sits very heavy with you, although I don't know if it actually does. I think you actually handle this type of pressure very, very, very well. But one of the things I guess that comes with that is the interest from brands, and we know over the last 12 months that there's been a significant shift in relation to brands wanting to be involved with you, which is wonderful. But it is a big jump, isn't it, mate? So you go from managing a couple of product deals to all of a sudden having a sweep of sponsors that all want a piece of you and all have their own expectations. And as relaxed as you are, it's still, my sense is it still can be a little bit of a chain around your neck. How are you finding it?
Now pretty good, but definitely, I guess at the start of the year, once we had a few new partners, it felt a little bit like imposter syndrome a little bit. Didn't really understand what I could bring to them. It was all quite a new experience. So it didn't really, I didn't really click with what my responsibility and where my, I guess, position within the brands was. But I think, and yeah, I think that sort of reflected in the way I approached my first triathlon of the year, which was Texas, which I just didn't. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't feel professional. Like I was a bit lost. So, but I think after I got back on the right track and we gradually, the more communication that happened between me and the new partners, it sort of became clear that they did think that I was valuable, and I got some really nice feedback from all of them after the Ironman in Cairns, and yeah, I think it's a funny one because definitely this year for me, it's almost like the first 2/3 of the year are quiet almost, but then suddenly we're now and there's 2 world championships within 4 weeks. So I think that's sort of where the most value I can give back to them is in this little period here. But yeah, I think I'm on the right track now.
Oh, well, we know you are, Nick. That's, I guess I get it. I've got some inside running of being on your team, so I know if my phone would ring or I'd get something if there was any concerns, and there is absolutely none. In fact, all I get is emails and notes about how delighted brands are to be associated with you, and I think it's because they see you as you are now. There's something quite authentic about Nick Thompson and how you approach things, and I guess it's just very refreshing. So yeah, I can only imagine that part of your life is going to continue to grow, and I think as an athlete you'll just get more comfortable with it. I don't think it's ever super comfortable. And that imposter syndrome is something that I remember Craig Alexander talking to me about that. That's after he won his 3rd Ironman championship. He still felt imposter syndrome, which is a very natural thing. So, yeah, okay. Now, mate, what are we up to? 22 minutes. So I did promise we were going to hold this to 20. I reckon we'll finish it there, but can I just ask, Nick, I mean, there's everyone's tipping what Kona might look like, and I know you've got another world championship in front of you in only 3 weeks' time, so I know that's priority. But there just seems momentum around Kona at the moment. Everyone's talking about Kona, and if you were taking yourself out of it, and you had to maybe pick maybe 5, who would you say? And I know you need to be a bit careful, mate, because I know you're training with one of them and you've just finished training with another.
Yeah, both very different athletes, Sam and Jamie. But I think the men's and women's is sort of similar in the way that there are 5 outstanding athletes, and that you could almost put them in any order. But I do think, I do sort of have in my head a winner, not a clear winner, but a winner for the men's and women's. I think Sam Laidlow. I think just the way he's approached Kona, like this is the one for him, and I think for the women's, I think Taylor Knibb will, she got pretty close, so she just has to find another 2 or 3K of running this year. And I think, for the men's, the rest of the top 5 could be any order of the 3 Norwegians and Martin Van Riel, and then the women's could be Lucy Solvig, Laura Phillip, and Kat Matthews. So,
yeah.
But I think those 2 that I mentioned are probably my favourites.
Got a smoky, Nick?
Smoky on the men's side. I'm trying to think who I've raced. Thinking back to Texas. I reckon guys like Jamie, Cam Main, Kieran, Lindars could all be there around top 5, top 10. And I guess it's hard with knowing like the ins and outs of the women's field, because you don't see them in a race, so you don't know their strengths as well. But I don't know. I can't really see there being any sort of upsets for the podium, though.
Okay. And just again, to be remiss not to ask, but how does it look for you? Where do you think you need to be in this race to when the whips are cracking? Where do you see you being when things get really down to the nitty gritty? Where would you like to be?
I think I think it has to be. I don't think I can ride the whole ride with someone like Sam, and I assume that he'll be alone. But if I can just start the run in the next group of people, that'd be good.
Yeah, that would be good, wouldn't it? Yeah. All right, terrific. Thanks for that, Johnny. Have you got any? You're probably not as close as what Nick is, well, you're definitely not. But have you got any tips, mate? Any tips?
Oh, I got no clue. I feel
Thompson.
So far removed.
Thompson
for the win, yeah.
Yes.
Back him.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course.
Even I feel so far removed. Like, you just focus. You don't really think too much into it. People say that you can do this or you can do that, but like, it really means nothing, because it can either go to plan or it can quickly blow up. So, yeah.
Well, gentlemen, 26 minutes and 40 seconds. I won't take you any longer. You got to go and have some lunch, Nick. Johnny, you probably want to go to bed. I've got a some of our guys are off on a 6.5 hour ride tomorrow morning, and so I won't be joining them. I'll see them when they have coffee. That'll be nice.
Wait, Phil, how's your injury?
Yeah,
Nick, it's getting there. It's actually improving a lot quicker than what I thought. So not as quick as yours, though, mate. But I've got look at this. That's not bad for someone that's actually got 2 broken ribs and a cracked scapula. So I'm actually going to jump on the time trial bike tomorrow. But my 20th Ironman, Nick, will have to wait until Bustleton next year. All right. I'll let you guys go. Nice to chat, boys. All the best. Next week, episode 8, we've got some really cool guests coming on. We've got the brand director of the parent company that looks after Deep Heat and Ice Gel. Now, if you're in that multisport community and you've been to events, you may have seen them being relatively active at the moment. There's a big push of this brand that are coming back into the market in a very strong way. And we're going to be chatting to the brand director, Holly Walker, in relation to how she's doing that. We're also catching up with the great man, Mr. Noel Fenn from Carbon Mafia. And we're going to be chatting about his business and what makes his wheels so fast and affordable. I've also lining up Jared Osborne, who's going to be racing World 70.3 champs. Jared is just absolutely on fire at the moment. He's emerging very quickly of one of Australia's most probably underrated long course athletes, but that's not going to be for much longer because his performances over this year has been stellar, and we're going to learn a little bit more about his prep in relation to leading up to the World 70.3 champs. So thanks for your time today. If you like what we're doing, please like and subscribe. We're going to catch up with you next week.